I am very in love. Every day is a fantastic journey. Be a better person and do the right thing. Last year was probably one of the hardest years of my life. And I went through...
Nobody expected Katy Perry's next chapter to start like this. Just when fans thought they knew what the future held for the pop superstar, a chance sighting in a Montreal restaurant sent the internet into a frenzy. The images spread instantly. The speculation was relentless. And before long, one of the most unexpected celebrity stories of the year was dominating headlines. So who was sitting across the table from Katy Perry that night? And how did a single dinner turn into a story that nobody could stop talking about? Join us as we uncover the surprising connection that caught fans completely off guard. The summer that changed everything. Katy Perry was 40 years old, coming off one of the most complicated stretches of her professional and personal life in a decade. Her relationship with Orlando Bloom, which had been one of the most publicly followed romances in celebrity culture since 2016, had ended.
And we're great. We're going to be great. It's nothing but love.
The two had been engaged since Valentine's Day 2019, had welcomed their daughter Daisy Dove in August 2020, and had spent years presenting a partnership that appeared genuinely warm and mutually supportive. Then, in June 2025, the engagement was over. The couple, who had navigated a previous breakup in 2017 and came back together, who had a child together, and who had spent years making public statements about their love and life together, had decided it could not work. Katy had also been going through a rough professional turbulence in the period leading up to the summer. Her 2024 album 143 received the most critical pushback of her career, with reviewers and casual listeners alike expressing disappointment that it had not captured the magic of her earlier work. Her involvement in the Blue Origin spaceflight in April 2025 drew mixed reactions, with significant criticism accompanying coverage of her participation. She then announced the Lifetime's World Tour for 2025, her first major touring cycle in years, which represented both a professional relaunch and a genuine test of where her audience stood with her after a period in which the cultural conversation around her career had been complicated. She was rebuilding, publicly and with everyone watching, and she was doing it as a single mother with a 4-year-old daughter. Justin Trudeau was in his own very different but equally significant transitional moment. He had served as Prime Minister of Canada for nearly a decade, leading the Liberal Party through multiple elections and becoming one of the most recognizable political figures in the Western world. His marriage to Sophie Grégoire Trudeau had ended in August 2023 after 18 years together. They had 3 children, Xavier, Ella Grace, and Hadrian, and the separation was described in a joint statement as a separation with love and kindness. Sophie had been a prominent public figure in her own right during the years of his tenure, and the end of the marriage had been a significant personal and political moment for a man whose public image had been substantially intertwined with his family life. In January 2025, Justin announced his resignation as leader of the Liberal Party following sustained political pressure and a difficult period for his government. He left office in March 2025, when Mark Carney was elected as the new Liberal leader and subsequently became Prime Minister. At 53 years old, Justin was suddenly a private citizen for the first time in nearly a decade, navigating both the end of a political career that had defined his adult life and the ongoing reality of co-parenting 3 children with his former wife. When these two people, both rebuilding after significant public losses, both managing co-parenting responsibilities, and both navigating the specific kind of visibility that comes with being a recognizable public figure in the middle of personal change, ended up at dinner together at Le Violon in Montreal on July 28, 2025, The tabloid mathematics of it were irresistible. But nobody on the outside of that restaurant knew yet what the inside of the story was going to look like. So how did they get from a casual Montreal dinner to something that multiple sources were calling serious? And what was the specific chain of events that moved the relationship from rumor to reality? The Montreal moment and how the world found out. The evening of July 28, 2025, at Le Violon in Montreal was not supposed to be a public moment. It became one because a video from the restaurant went viral on TMZ before either of them had the chance to frame what was happening for anyone outside the room. A person at the restaurant told people in the days that followed that Katy and Justin had seemed to have had a fantastic evening. They were super kind and friendly to staff and called it an absolute pleasure to have them there. The warmth of the account from the restaurant suggested that whatever was happening between them had already moved beyond the awkwardness of a first meeting. A source at the time told Us Weekly that the dinner was definitely a date, but casual, and added that the two had been in touch for the previous month and had mutual connections in the music industry. 2 days after the dinner, Justin attended Katy's sold-out concert at the Bell Centre in Montreal. He brought his daughter, Ella Grace. Fans at the show captured the former Prime Minister in the audience, visibly singing along to songs including Teenage Dream and Firework. The footage circulated online with the same speed as the restaurant video, and the combination of the dinner and the concert attendance within a 48-hour window made the speculation impossible to contain. A man who had just left the most demanding job in Canadian public life was at a Katy Perry concert singing Firework, while the woman who wrote it was on stage. The early weeks after the Montreal sightings produced the standard celebrity relationship media cycle, sources saying the relationship was casual and developing, the couple making no public comment, and speculation growing as more details leaked from people claiming proximity to one or both of them. By August 2025, reports suggested the pair had cooled off, with Justin reportedly feeling overwhelmed by the volume of media attention the connection was generating. That cooling off period, if it happened the way it was described, did not last long. By September 2025, they were still very much in contact, and that the relationship had continued developing quietly while both of them got on with the very different public obligations of their respective lives. And then came October, and the moment that made the relationship impossible to keep in the quiet zone any longer. Because what happened in Paris on Katy Perry's 41st birthday was the kind of moment that tabloid photographers do not miss, and that no amount of careful public relations management can reframe once the images exist. The hand-holding that made it official. October 25th, 2025, was Katy Perry's 41st birthday. She spent it in Paris, and Justin Trudeau was there with her. The two attended a cabaret show at the Crazy Horse Paris, one of the most famous and intimate performance venues in the city. When they walked out of the venue, they were photographed holding hands and smiling in a way that left no room for the casual friends interpretation that had been available during the Montreal period. The photographs circulated within hours. This was the first major public appearance they had made as a couple, and they had chosen it not as a managed press moment, but as a birthday celebration that happened to fall on a public holiday. The intimacy of the venue, the choice of Paris on a significant date, and the hand-holding visible to anyone with a camera communicated something that no accompanying statement was necessary to clarify. Within days of the Paris appearance, a Canadian political source revealed that the relationship was already fairly serious and definitely moving in that direction. The same source described them as very much a couple who had been seeing each other as often as possible. A logistical challenge given that Katy was mid-tour and Justin was managing his own travel and co-parenting schedule across 2 countries. The description of the effort they were making to spend time together, despite the scheduling complexities, suggested a level of commitment that went well beyond a casual summer connection. A separate source speaking to people on Katy's side confirmed that she was keeping the romance low-key, but very happy. Neither had made statements. Neither had posted about the other on social media. The relationship had been advancing in private, while the public consumed speculation from people close enough to the situation to speak, but not close enough to have authority over what was shared. In December 2025, both Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau posted about each other on Instagram for the first time, making the relationship social media official in the way that contemporary celebrity culture uses that specific threshold as the clearest possible signal. The posts were followed by former Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, mentioning on social media that he had met Katy and Justin for lunch, referring to Katy as Justin's partner. Justin responded to Kishida's post publicly, which functioned as its own kind of confirmation. A former head of government referring to a pop star as a former prime minister's partner, and that former prime minister responding with warmth rather than correction, is a specific kind of public acknowledgement. Katy also posted a Hello Kitty meme at some point during this period with text reading, "Patiently waiting for my BF to finish his big boy business stuff so we can call," which is the kind of social media moment that strips away every layer of celebrity management and reveals something genuine underneath it. She was dating someone. She found him funny. She was comfortable enough with the relationship to make light of the specific logistical frustrations it involved. The meme communicated more about the actual texture of what was happening between them than any carefully worded statement could have. But now that the relationship was confirmed, and public and clearly serious, a different set of questions started arriving. Questions about compatibility, about what two people from such different worlds actually share, and about whether the personal circumstances each of them was carrying from their previous relationships created complications that the early honeymoon period had not yet fully revealed. So what do we actually know about how these two people fit together? And what have the people around them been saying? The revelations. Entertainment. Tonight reported in early 2026 that Katy and Justin had gotten much more serious, with a source saying that he was supportive of her and encouraging, and that she felt confident about herself with him. The same source described Justin as having come into Katy's life at the perfect time and said she was smitten. Another source described Justin as making a strong and consistent effort to spend time with Katy while she was on the Lifetime's world tour, working around his schedule and her touring obligations to be present with her as much as the logistics of two countries and two families allowed. Effort in relationships that involve this level of logistical complexity is one of the more meaningful signals available. Showing up when showing up is difficult is a different kind of statement than showing up when it is convenient. Katy herself made one of the more revealing direct references to the relationship on stage during the Lifetime's tour. She made a joke at a concert about no longer falling for Englishmen, a reference to her previous relationship with the British-born Orlando Bloom, and a playful signal to the audience that the Canadian in her life was a deliberate change of direction rather than an accidental one. The joke was received as charming by the audience and circulated widely as a confirmation of what was already being reported. She was not hiding from the relationship. She was making jokes about it from a stage. What Katy Perry has opened up about more broadly during the period around the relationship is the general shape of her emotional state after everything that preceded it. She turned 41 in Paris with someone who wanted to be there. She had spent years in an engagement that ultimately could not reach the destination it was pointing at. She had had her daughter. She had made an album that the world received with more criticism than anything she had previously released. She had gone into space and received a complicated response. She had launched a world tour as a statement of professional comeback and personal resilience. And then she had met someone who, according to everyone close to the situation, was supportive and encouraging and made her feel confident about herself. She has not made extensive public statements about the relationship beyond the social media content and the on-stage joke. Neither has Justin. The restraint is deliberate and consistent and reflects something genuine about both of them. They are not using the relationship for publicity. They are not managing it as a brand exercise. They are doing the specific thing that is actually hardest in their position: having a private relationship between two non-private people and declining to explain it to anyone who has not been invited into it. Now that you understand where the relationship stands and what the people around them have been saying, here is the layer of the story that makes it more complicated than two famous people finding each other after two broken relationships. Because both of them are navigating the specific reality of being parents to children from those previous relationships. And that reality does not simplify when you add a new person. The complication of building something new on top of something real. Katy Perry's daughter, Daisy Dove Bloom, was born in August 2020. She was 4 years old when the relationship with her father, Orlando Bloom, ended in June 2025, and 5 years old when her mother's relationship with Justin Trudeau began that summer. The experience of being the child of two famous parents whose relationship has ended and who are both navigating new public presences is something that Daisy did not choose and cannot manage. And it is one of the realities that shapes every aspect of how Katy approaches the relationship publicly. Katy has been consistently protective of Daisy's privacy throughout her life. She did not share Daisy's face publicly for a long time after her birth. She has kept her daughter's day-to-day life largely out of the social media content she shares. The same instinct that led her to withhold her daughter from the public gaze applies to how she is managing Daisy's experience of the new relationship. There are no photographs of Daisy and Justin circulating from public events. There are no social media moments that place her daughter inside the frame of the new romance. Justin Trudeau has 3 children with Sophie Gregoire Trudeau. Xavier is the eldest, followed by Ella Grace, and then Hadrian, the youngest. Justin's separation from Sophie in 2023 was described publicly as amicable and structured around the well-being of the children. Sophie Gregoire Trudeau has moved forward with her own public presence since the separation, and the co-parenting arrangement appears to be functioning in the way the joint statement at the time described. Ella Grace attended Katy's Montreal concert with her father in July 2025, which was either a deliberate early introduction of the developing connection to his daughter or simply a father taking his child to a concert she wanted to attend. The interpretation depends on what you believe about the level of intentionality Justin was bringing to the public presentation of the relationship at that early stage. While it's quite obvious that they are both in a relationship, has any of them confirmed it publicly? The bigger picture. By April 2026, when Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau went red carpet official at the Tribeca Festival, the relationship had moved from a viral restaurant video to something where both of them were appearing at public cultural events as a couple. The Tribeca Festival appearance was the clearest signal yet that the low-key phase was evolving into something both of them were prepared to present publicly in a more conventional way. The relationship as having gotten much more serious than it was in the summer, with both parties investing genuine time and effort into being present for each other despite the ongoing logistical complexity of a world tour and international co-parenting schedules. The consistent detail across all the coverage from multiple independent sources is the effort that Justin specifically has been making. A man who was recently a sitting head of government and who is now navigating the transition to private life while managing co-parenting obligations and whatever professional next chapter he is building for himself, is nonetheless consistently described as showing up for this relationship with a specific level of investment. Katy Perry's public profile in 2026 is in a different place from where it was in 2024. The world tour gave her a platform and a purpose. The relationship gave her, by the account of everyone close to the situation, a sense of confidence and support at a moment when she needed both. The album cycle that preceded it had been difficult. The end of the engagement had been difficult. The spaceflight discourse had been difficult. The convergence of all of those things in a relatively short period would be difficult for anyone. What came after was a tour that was performing well, a relationship that multiple sources described as making her happy, and a 41st birthday spent in Paris with someone who wanted to be there. What do you think about this unexpected pairing? Do you think it has the staying power to go the distance? Or is it two people who both needed someone at exactly the same moment? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.